What is going on, people? Welcome back into the channel. We got a nice special episode today. So we're joined by Claudio from Sky Blue Fans TV, and we are just going to talk through what we think is, the plan and what Coventry should do in the January transfer window. We know, tough loss against Ipswich. Looked back, definitely was a bit salty in my post match, so I do apologize for that. My head is collected now. Nice conversation with Claudio. Shout out him. Shout out Sky Blue Fans TV. They will be in the description, or it'll be a collaborative video. Can we go ahead and get 100 likes for Claudio taking time out of his busy day? Come on, 100 likes. Thank you guys. Also, please, if you are new, if you enjoy the content, hit the subscribe button. We do watch alongs for all away Coventry City matches on here on TikTok, and we also do post match reviews 60 minutes after kickoff ends. Not kickoff, kick. Final whistle. Okay, let's also, if you're aware, if you're not aware, we did a calorie challenge for the Coventry versus Ipswich video. Essentially what that is I was doing 2,000 calories per goal. I said it was going to come out today. I'm still editing it. I'm also still recovering from the 6,000 calories that Ipswich made me eat. So thanks a lot for that. Hopefully get that out on Thursday. Worst case Friday. All right, here we go. So I have Claudio Cardellino of Sky Blue Fans TV, one of the first people to give me a little platform into the Coventry segment of, the internet. So thank you for that. Hello, Claudia. How you doing today?
Good evening, mate. How are you? You're looking well?
Thank you. Yes, very good. I am still a little bit, I guess you could say, salty about the loss this past weekend, but it was inevitable. It is what it is. We move, have opportunities right away to pick back some points. So we're gonna look forward to January in this video, and we're just gonna have a nice discussion. Just two people just kind of working through what this team needs to do to ensure that they essentially just stay in those two automatic promotion slots. They end this season, and we are then talking about Coventry City back in the Premier League for the first time in over 20 years. So I want to start by going back to last year. So we obviously know the entire story. We know that Mark Robbins was sacked. Frank Lampard was brought in. It was a very, very controversial decision. And at the time, Coventry were sat 17th in the table, slowly climbed the table, especially with a really big win streak, something along the lines of 10 games. And, the Frank Lampard era had begun, and here we are now, 92 points in 46 game pace. It has been a great time to be a Coventry City fan, but the January transfer window has actually been really good for them the last 2 years. So last year, Matt Grimes was brought in January. The year before that, Victor Torp was brought in. Can you just talk me through last year and kind of how you felt during that January transfer window? Was it as dire or maybe not as dire as we feel now? Because I'm sure we'll talk about how, we feel that the team is pretty thin right now. Matt Grimes was brought in to, shore up that midfield with Ben Chief and whoever else. So did you feel like they absolutely had to dip into the market last year? Did you feel that the team had a chance to be promoted? Just talk me through that.
I think in general, the last three January transfer windows, we've always felt like we didn't do enough. But then when you look at the actual transfer windows, they haven't been that bad. Last season, Matt Grimes was a surprise. I didn't expect him to be coming here because he was at Swansea for 10 seasons. But Thursday night, I was told by Doug King that they're after him from 2023. Well, maybe not him, but the club were. So he's already somebody on the radar. I think there was certain things he had to sort out before he could move. Basically, we loaned out Fabio Tavares and we loaned out Kay Andrews, which at the time Tavares was sort of a fan's favourite with a few of the fans, and some of the fan base probably thought we should have kept it. So you looked at we got Jamie Patterson as well, didn't we? Which in the end scored that wonderful goal, didn't he? Um, I would say majority of the fans were dissatisfied with the January window and thought we didn't do enough. But
Mhm.
likewise, we could have said that about the January before when we brought in Victor Torp. And let's not forget Ephron Mason Clark, who didn't actually kick a ball for us until would have been this season, wouldn't it? Yes, he wasn't allowed to come here, was he, until the following season, basically. And what a difference he may have made for those last 6 months. And before that, if you want to go back even further, Jonah, you've got Luke McNally, who came in that window, which was pivotal when we were in the playoff season. We got to the final, along with Brooke Norton-Cuffy, Josh Wilson and Sean Maguire. So we've tried to do things, but I mean, Matt Grimes was a big steal, I think, and also Torp as well, because no one had heard of him. But as a fan, you always want a name, don't you? That's really going to make a
Mhm.
impact, and everyone. So the other clubs go, "Oh, look who Coventry have signed." January is always dodgy because you who you're going to get that really going to impact. If you're a rival, isn't a rival team going to give you one of their players? I doubt it very much. So you're
No.
hunting around for somebody who's dissatisfied, maybe 6 months left of their contract. Very difficult situation, Jonah. I mean, I thought, looking back on it, you can say it was a great window because we didn't lose anybody. And the one thing, when Doug King came in, the very first window was the January window, 3 windows back now. Um, he was really happy with that. We never got rid of Gyökeres because he said the previous owners, that was the first thing they were going to do. Basically, he
Mhm.
thought they were going to get rid of him. We kept him. Same with Hamer, and then the money generated from those guys, we built a squad that we've got now, pretty much. So I think we've done all right, really, in the January window without spending too much cash.
Yeah, definitely. It's also important to remember. Well, first off, I don't think any fan is ever going to feel 100% fully satisfied with a window unless, you're like a Birmingham City or Wrexham where you're bringing in 10 plus players. I know Derby County brought in something like 13 players, but the market in January is so dry because there's only a certain amount of players that you can go for. And it seems like what Coventry have done in these last 2 January windows have paid off, but maybe right away you're not going to get that gratification. It's like delayed gratification. I think it's important, and we probably both agree in this window, we can't lose anyone. I highly, highly doubt any of the true players that are rotated into the team are going to be departing. Would you agree with that? I haven't heard any links. Honestly, I have a hard time believing many links anymore because we've just been fed so much nonsense over the past 6 months. You think anyone's going to leave?
No, I'd be very surprised. And the way Doug spoke only last Thursday, he was saying
Mhm.
we're going to reach him for the top. We're pushing for it. We're looking ahead of us. We're not looking behind. Well, to me, you can't get rid of anybody unless you get 25 million or something, and you can
Yeah.
bring players in, but they have to be hit the road running, so to speak. They can't just come in and have to take 2 months to get up to speed. That's not going to work when you're trying to get promoted. You need somebody like Matt Grimes when he played against Leeds that last, I think, 20 minutes or so when he came on in the first game he played, and you think, oh, he's a player. You can see it straight away.
Mhm.
That's what we need. We can't afford to lose anybody. And if we bring people in, they've got to be up to speed straight away.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that's
definitely.
what they're doing. And we've got areas we know we have to strengthen,
Yeah. I
basically.
I read an article from some, football media site where the person was frustrated and upset that Doug King didn't approve the Patrick Bamford signing because Frank Lampard was on board with it. I completely disagree with that sentiment because I think that in this situation, it's a very unprecedented situation, especially in the last couple of years where a non-parachute team has a lead in the championship going into the January window. I think we need to start looking at the type of player and sort of changing the mentality and going for a player that, instead of going for the model, we've been using the model and it's been working for the last couple of years, buy low, sell high. This might be the time where you want to start looking to players that you think can actually make an impact in the Prem. So I think that's a good segue into, just talking about the team that we have now and just where do we think that we need to strengthen? And I think it's been becoming more apparent now than ever. And I've said it, and I sound like a broken record. It's amazing what this team has done with the amount of injuries in the midfield and the attack that we've had. I know one of the games that we lost this year against Wrexham, we had a lot of the back line out, whether it been for yellow card accumulation or sickness or injury. But the attack has been a revolving door all season. So if you look at who we have in the attack, specifically the wingers. You've got Efron Mason Clark. You've got Tatsuhiro Sakamoto. Raphael was loaned out. Jack Radoni and Josh Eccles are somewhat of, emergency wingers. To me, I think there is probably the biggest place for me that we need to strengthen. Claudio, you probably have some sort of agreement there. I think there's probably another position or two that you would think. Would you say that the winger is your biggest spot to strengthen? Would it be the midfield? What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, firstly, you mentioned Patrick Bamford, and according to Doug, there's 3 reasons we didn't sign him.
Oh,
Reading
let me
through
just
the
cut you off for a second. Sorry. So you what is the group that you're a part of again where you get to be a part of these forums with the board? Is it supporters group or
yeah, there's a select number of groups who have a meeting every 3 or 4 months with the board, basically.
Mhm,
Although it's the board of one, but Nicola Ibbotson and there's another fellow there, whose names escapes me now, but there's other people involved who look
mhm.
after all parts of the club, basically. And there's about 20 of us, and we have an update. We have supporters' questions, and then Doug King has his say for about 20, 25 minutes, and he talks us through what's going on behind the scenes, basically. I mean, he doesn't give much away with the players, but he does make it clear when there isn't any interest. And he's always said, and this basically sums Patrick Bamford up: too old, too expensive, too injury prone. The 3 reasons why we didn't sign him.
Works for
There's
me.
there's no value in there at all. He's too
Yeah.
expensive, and we're not gonna get anything back from it, and what's the point? We're looking ahead. So basically, that's why we didn't sign him. So going back to, you're dead right. This is why it's puzzled some that Raphael went out on loan, because obviously he's a wide player. We were told we tried to get somebody in the summer out wide, but that didn't happen, apparently, we were told. But as Doug has always said, they don't let anything out now. There's all these rumours are not created by the club; they're created by agents who just want to get players' names out there. And we're quite popular at the minute for some reason. So I'm looking at it now. You're dead right. We need somebody out wide, because Sakamoto, for as good as he is, he does pick up injuries, and the same with Efron Mason Clark. The
Mhm.
guy, it's almost like he's so muscle bound. It doesn't take much for him to tweak something all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and you do need to rotate these players. You can't flog them to death, can you? I mean, when we play, the majority of the time, we try to get the ball to Sakamoto. He's the guy we look for, and it's plainly obvious that the last couple of games where he's not been playing, we have struggled, haven't we, out wide? He's the
Definitely.
escape route. He holds the ball up. Okay, he's not direct, but he does enough to hold the ball to get the midfield up with him, and then he does his little tricks and he get his crosses in. We've missed that in the last couple of games. Um, Kessler Hayden, I think, a great replacement for Milan, but is not a great replacement for Sakamoto. He's a sort of in
Mhm.
between, isn't he?
Yeah.
Great away from home if you're winning 2-0, bring somebody on to shore things up a bit if they've got a tricky left-sided player. But he's not going to do step overs and little jinks and dummies and get crosses in. And it's the same. I mean, Efron really, Jonah, he's quite direct. You've seen him now all season. He's a kind of like, he does the odd step over, but he's more of a muscle man wide player, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's more about the physicality. So we definitely do need something up out. Well, also, I wouldn't mind a pacey striker who is just so direct. I mean, you could Asante, yes, he's got pace and he darts around everywhere, but I wouldn't say he's an out and out pacey striker. Where you're on the shoulder of the last defender,
Mhm.
um, probably offside more times than not. But somebody who will make the defence turn straight away. We haven't got that as an option. Haji Wright, great on the wing, can play on the wing, can play up front, down the middle. Ellis Sims finally is starting to use his weight a bit and looks like he's interested, basically. Um, we haven't got that speedy option, I don't think. I think
No.
we've got speed, or we haven't got enough pace in the team, I don't think, if I'm
Yeah,
honest.
you do mention that. Now you start to think about it. There isn't much pace in the team. I will say I do think that Mason Clark and Sakamoto complement each other well because like you
Mm.
said, Mason Clark is, 100 miles an hour, get on the ball, try to beat the defender. But then Sakamoto, you'll see him slow the game down, draw defenders his way. Also use that link up play with Radoni and Milan down that right hand side. I'm still waiting for the day where we get that link up play of Radoni at the 10, Sakamoto on the right, and Milan, overlapping with him that we saw in the beginning of the season because it's just unguardable when they're all healthy. But the issue is they've all been, banged up other than Milan. I'm sure Milan is banged up, but not to the point where he can't play. And they've just been staggered. So the thing that scares me is that, one of the guys across the front go down and we get into an Ipswich situation where it's like, say you are to go down in a game, because, we've been down at the CBS multiple times, but
Yeah.
the energy of the crowd and whatnot is able to will us back. And, a wonder strike by Eccles from outside the box brought us back. And we've seen, the game against Blackburn where we came out in the international break and we were flat, but then we saw two volleys from Torp and BTA. Like one or two guys go down and the team just feels very, very bare. And if you get into a situation where you need to bring on an impact player, we don't have that. So I'm hoping that, I think it's starting to get to a point where you might need to try to bring in someone who you could take to the next level with you. I'm not saying, they have to go out and get someone that is like seriously, seriously expensive because I don't even, I don't know if that's realistic, but just hoping that, is it realistic to go and look at these rosters of Premier League teams or Serie A teams and find someone who, like you said, is, unhappy with playing time, less than 5 appearances this season, pacey winger on the outside. Did you see something like that happening, or do you think they will go for like a Mason Clark where they're going and they're trying to handpick someone from League One, like a Richard Kone, where they bring someone in who they know has potential that they can sell?
Yeah, the problem they got is it's the financial part of it, because if you bring somebody who not so much established, but will probably do a good job for you, he's going to be he's going to be costly, isn't he?
Mhm.
And okay, we've got a great lead at the minute, and you'd like to think, according to all the statistics, it's the chances are we will get promoted, but we've got to do that ourselves. We can't just go on statistics and what's happened in the past. And if we don't get promoted and you sign two players who are on quite a bit of money, who could unsettle the apple cart as well, we're stuck with two players on a lot of money and we're still in the
Mhm.
championship.
Yeah.
So it is I mean, as you know, you've obviously know our other podcast, and Miles always talks about sticking and twisting, and it's a gamble. And our owner, that's what he does. He's a trader. And I don't think he's a huge gambler. He's very clever in how he trades. And
Mhm.
I'll be amazed. It would be fantastic if we got a couple of players in that marquee players, but I'd be amazed, Jonah, because they're going to cost a lot of money, and if we don't do it, we are stuck with these players, and and I can't see him loaning anybody either because that's not his model.
Oh.
I know we've got the keeper, but that's almost an emergency. Th To him, this isn't an emergency because he's looking at the table and we're 9 points clear of third. So he's probably
Mhm.
thinking, "We might just need a little tweak here and there. We're doing okay." So
Yeah.
had we been 7th, that might be different, I think.
I think a loan would be a really, really smart
Oh,
option.
definitely.
I know it costs money, of course, but someone who has Premier League quality who maybe isn't getting the minutes, if Frank can maybe use some of those connections that he has, I think that would be probably my number one because I do agree with you. It's the restrictions for January so stringent. Clubs aren't going to want to get rid of players. And I mean, just for example, let's look at Josh Sargent here.
Mm,
It's hard to trust online sources that talk about market value and whatnot. But what we do know for a fact is Wolfsburg were ready to pay 20 million pounds for Josh Sargent over the summer. And he didn't want to go to Germany. Now, Norwich are in a completely different spot to where people would have expected them to be, right?
yeah.
So I'm sure everyone and their mothers that is looking for a striker might come in and think to themselves, this might be the time where we can go and we can pick Sargent up. We can get a discounted deal for him. But Norwich aren't going to let him go for, less than 10, 15 million pounds at this rate. So it's like a lot of teams might be looking, and we're probably thinking the same thing where we need to be optimistic, but realistic, where we might be able to go and get someone who's, say they're rotting away on the bench of Everton or Juventus or, some mid table team in a top flight. Clubs are going to look at us and just be like, yeah, it's January. I'm gonna add another 15%, 20% onto what it is. So that is where things can definitely get a little bit dodgy, but we just gotta trust them. I'll leave you with this. I want to go talk about the midfield before we end this up. Can this team with the exact same squad right now end the season in first place?
What a question.
That is a very tough one.
It is, because Oh, I wish you'd asked me this in a month's time. Because we've got obviously Preston, Ipswich again, Southampton, Birmingham again soon.
Yeah.
I would say if we get through these next 6 fixtures coming up and
Hmm.
we're still 1 and 2 in there in the top 2 or even top, whatever, I think we'll go up. We've gotta get through this next 6 games because 'cause they're gonna be thick and fast and they're gonna be tough. It's gonna push our squad to the limit, and then we've got the January window, haven't we? So
Yeah.
I think it's critical we stay in there now, and if we do it, I think we can. I
Yeah.
genuinely think we can. And regarding Josh Sargent, I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, what's he done this season?" But what have Norwich done this season?
Exactly.
When the team's playing poorly around you, it's hard to score goals if you're not creating a great deal.
Hmm.
Um, in our team, it'd get a bag full because the amount of times the ball goes across the box. So it's interesting. Going just briefly about Saturday, we lost there 2-1 a couple of years ago. That was more like a 3-0 match, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Saturday wasn't a 3-0 match. I,
No.
I thought we played a lot better than we probably think we did because we're looking at the final score. So we're nowhere as we are close. We are very close. And Ipswich with a squad of 300 million had to work hard to get that win on Saturday. So I think we are close, and I think we can do it. I genuinely think we can do it.
Hmm. Yeah, I lean between yes and no for thinking with this team just because seems like when injuries come, they really like hit like a train. So it also we obviously cannot foresee what injuries are going to look like, but we don't have Thomas Asante for this tough stretch. So that's one thing that's going to be difficult. We're actually it's almost as if he was going to AFCON. I know Ghana are not in
Yeah,
AFCON, but he's going to be gone for another month. He'll be gone for this tough stretch. I think it comes down to the health of the squad for me. Like I know we've been conceding a lot of chances recently, but we are very fortunate that that back line has stayed healthy. I know there's been, a revolving door in the midfield, revolving door in the attack, but we do have to at least help and be thankful for that. So that'll bring us to the midfield then. I think we could probably also maybe use one player. I think overall, 1 to 2 players is the most realistic outcome here, a winger and then a central midfielder. So we've been linked to I don't know if you've seen it, and I also don't know the validity of it, but probably gonna butcher this name. It's Abdoulaye Mane. He's
yeah.
Gambian, he's 21 years old. I don't know the exact truth of that, but I do think that we could use a number 8 in the team on the bench just because, we go down in this Ipswich game. Victor Torp is out. He's sick. It happens. Totally understandable. There's going to be more injuries in the midfield. We know Jack Radoni was out for a little bit. You go down one midfielder, and then say you go down in a game, you have to bring on Jamie Allen. And Jamie Allen isn't a bad player, but Jamie Allen's role is come on and see out a game that you're winning or see out a game where, maybe you're getting pressured and it's a draw. We don't really have an impact player off the bench, and that's maybe a luxury. I'm not trying to sound out of touch here, but I think in this situation, because you know that you have something so good right now, first in the championship, you have a solid chance of getting promoted. I would like to see one player brought in, maybe not a big name, but maybe just someone that can play that 8 if they need to play as a number 10, and if they can go back and back up Matt Grimes. I think that's the key thing right here. I think actually I talked myself into it. Someone like an 8 that can play a 6. God forbid Matt Grimes were to go down. How do you feel about that?
Well, if Matt Grimes gets injured, you can, I think, wave goodbye to promotion. We
Yeah.
definitely the reason Sheaf wasn't playing was because of Matt Grimes, basically, and straight away you could see what Frank was thinking when he started with Torp in the very first game of the season instead of Sheaf, even though Sheaf had
Mhm.
given a chat the day before as club captain. Um, it'd be wonderful if we could get a string of games, 10 matches where Radoni, Torp, and Grimes are playing every game. Would be fine, Jonah. That's
That
what we
would be.
need, and with somebody to come off the bench. I mean, Kai Andrews could be that guy if he
Mhm.
develops quick enough. But you're right, we do need somebody, um, and with some pace as well who can come on. I mean, that guy that you mentioned, Mane, he sounds ideal, doesn't he? Because I've
Yeah.
seen some of the reels. He looks like a world beater, but that's always the way, isn't it? You only see the good bits. But we do need. more in midfield. We do, because our bench, yeah, there's some decent players, but I mean, some of them aren't going to see the light of day unless it's really necessary.
Yeah.
You know, and when Alan came in, he did a job for a couple of games. He's not going to do a job for 3, 4, 5 games. It's just not the player he is now.
No, no, no.
So we do need. Um, I mean, I wouldn't mind another number 10. Well, have we really got a number 10?
I
You know,
mean, if you call Radonia number 10, and then you
yeah,
got Eccles as sort of the shapeshifter back there, where if
yeah.
someone goes down, he steps in. I mean, Eccles can't play as a 6, though, right? I mean,
But he's another one because I think he's great in short bursts. He'll do you
yeah.
2, 3 games, and that's it. And then
Mm,
he'll have 3 games which aren't particularly great,
yeah.
and then he'll be on the bench, and he'll come on a couple of sub appearances, look fairly decent. Then he'll start a game and look all right again.
Yeah.
But we can't deal with that. We need. I mean, it sounds daft, doesn't it, when I talk about consistency? Because out of all the teams in the league, we have been the most
I
consistent.
know, I know.
It's
It's hard to do this without sounding like a spoiled fan. That's why, like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think we're doing a good job of being as realistic as possible.
yeah. We've
But
still got. I say Ipswich again. We've got Southampton twice this season. Yeah, I mean it's
yeah.
there's still going to be some hiccups, and you can lose up to 10 games in this league and get promoted. It's
Mm.
we have to win matches though. Forget the draws.
Yeah, well, we
Yeah,
haven't drawn in a very, very long time, which is a
yeah.
good thing in a year where I think draws are at an all-time high. But speaking of short bursts, I do just want to mention, I forgot to mention in the wingers chat, feel that Efron Mason Clark is not a 90-minute player as well. So even just that right there, even when they are healthy, it doesn't hurt having someone that can come on for that last 20 minutes and, giving that last effort, getting, because, like we said, he's very bulky, he's very direct, he uses energy very quick. But you just look at, some of the teams that are going to be pushing towards the end of the season, this is really where you're going to start to see the money shine through. As they say, money talks. I mean, look at the players that Ipswich brought on against us. They bring
Mm.
on Jack Clark. Like, they bring on players that would get into any team. Chuba Akpom, unused sub. You look at, Birmingham City. They've got Hyogo Furuhashi, who I know, hasn't been great this season, but he can come in off the bench. Keshi Anderson. Like, there's so many names for like these bigger clubs that have more money that they are really going to start picking up more points because of that as the season goes on, because players are just going to get worn down more and more. Well, I think we're going to start to see like club like Sheffield Wednesday, not really no point of even bringing them up, but the players are just going to get lower and lower energy levels as the season goes on. I mean, even Southampton, Cameron Archer on the bench, like those impact players. And right now, if the team isn't fully healthy, we just don't have them. So hopefully, one or two players, Haji Wright gets back up to, his full form. And then, maybe in the FA Cup rounds before it gets, more serious, we can see some of those fringe players get a chance to prove themselves because they definitely deserve it. Kessler Hayden, Kai Andrews. I'd like to see that. I know there's an FA Cup draw happening this week at some point.
It's tonight.
Tonight, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think I don't know what I want actually, Joan. I could do with a home draw against a Premier League side just to see how good we are.
Yeah.
Basically, as simple as that.
Yeah.
Or somebody really rubbish. Either way, um, yeah, we need, I think, more pace, and whether it's in the midfield or up front, we definitely need because the way we play. I mean, I noticed on Saturday, he's not going to change his philosophy of how he wants to
Mhm.
play. It's pretty much 4-3-3. We're going to attack teams. It's high energy, and you're going to wear yourselves out. And when it's not going right towards the end of the game, you can get picked off.
Mhm.
Um, and fair play to Frank for doing it against Ipswich, where I think most teams go there and park the bus. We actually had a
Yeah,
go,
we did.
and the outcome is either going to be, um, you know, great, or you're going to get done over 3-0, basically.
Mhm.
But you're right. What you're saying is dead on. Um, we need somebody out wide because we let the guy go on loan, which we didn't. Well, everybody thought he was going to stick around and was going to be one of our main play, not main player, but a fringe player.
Yeah.
And in midfield, we still need a bit more pace in there, and somebody that can cover Matt Grimes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be amazed if we don't do anything in the transfer window in January where we are now, because Duncan's ambitious. We've got an ambitious manager as well. He wouldn't be coming to Coventry if he didn't think there was some sort of hope he might get promoted. What's the point, Frank Lampard? You might as well go and, I don't know, manage, no disrespect to Swansea or Blackburn or Charlton, West Brom. Take your pick. Looking at Leicester, even Leicester at 14. No, only joking.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Or Watford. You could say Preston, because they've been trying to do this since 1962, trying to get out of the Championship. So you know what I mean. So the guy's ambitious, and I think our owner's got to match that ambition. What's the point?
Yeah, I'm sure they're working hard behind the scenes. Last little thing I just want to mention. We didn't plan to talk about tactics at all, but Frank has been oddly good at mending tactics mid-game, and it's been working very, very well. But we do see, like you said, he likes to start out with that 4-3-3. You get what you see is what you get. They're going to put the ball down the wing. They're going to beat defenders. They're going to cross it in. And you know what? It has worked very, very well. But I just want to highlight, do you remember the Portsmouth away game?
Yeah.
Probably going on 2 months ago now. Season is absolutely flying. We started with a 5-back in that game, and we ended up winning pretty comfortably until obviously they got that late goal at the end of the game. I wouldn't totally rule that out at some point going forward. Hindsight is 2020. Maybe he would have done it against Ipswich. Things would have been different, but it's just a blimp in the road. It is what it is. Coventry City are going to be fine. They are going to be punching for, the ultimate feat come end of the season. So thank you, Claudio. I appreciate you coming on today. Nice little 30-minute conversation. Hopefully we can do this again. Thank you so much. And we will see you guys on Tuesday for a watch along. Adios.
Cheers.